He scored again. What up, fellas? Very much good evening to all of y'all watching. It's back at it again. The KAL
and Joe show. All right, we finally got it done.
I know, right, bro? KAL, how are you doing, brother?
I'm fantastic, bro. Fantastic. 4-0, clean sheet. It's been a while, I can say that. Yeah, good weekend all in all. Competitors dropping points. So I don't want to say much. I'll let you explain how you genuinely feel. So, floor's yours,
man,
my friend.
It's been a roller coaster ride. I mean, I had a headache right after, like, say, 1:30 a.m. And to wake up not having a headache to see the scoreline of Liverpool's game, I think that made it a little bit better, man, KAL. But hey, you know what? It's football. These guys never fail to entertain us and surprise us. I mean, come on, Aston Villa teams this year are just perfect. But KAL,
yeah, man.
With all this aside, today it just comes down to a very, very special moment whereby we managed to secure a beautiful, beautiful character into our show, man, KAL.
Yeah, man, definitely. I think it's very nice of LUKE CHADWICK to be part of our show. He is more than happy to share and everything. And guys, before we even start the show, just to let you know, we've mentioned it before on our Instagram and our social media post. There is a contest. You just have to like our Facebook page, like our and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You win 3 prizes. I mean, one obviously being the jersey of your choice with the prints if you want that as well. Second, you'll get a one Mata card over here. You can see clearly with the match 1 jersey and a LUKE CHADWICK card as well. All right, so you gotta like and subscribe. And what we'll do is we'll take all the who've liked and subscribed, put them in the whole random generator, generate it, get the winners. We'll contact you and let's get it done.
And KAL, we will contact the winners tomorrow itself. So without any further ado, with the prizes announced, with a lot of things coming in, guys, we do not want to waste any more time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the millions watching out there, welcome on board, LUKE CHADWICK.
Hi, guys.
Hey, LUKE, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. 4-0, Chelsea, clean sheet. I'm awesome.
Yeah, good result for Chelsea.
I'm doing not too bad. I think we are on the same boat. I think the Liverpool result made it better for us.
Yeah, thank God for Aston Villa. That sort of certainly cheered me up a little bit. It was a bad day for Manchester United yesterday, that's for sure. But hopefully there's still a bit of time left today. Perhaps we can make a couple of signings and be in a better place for the next games coming up.
Oh, perfect. Luke, I just want to ask one thing, Luke. How's the weather is right now there?
Same as always. It's absolutely peeing down with rain out there. So it's a usual day in England today.
Oh, perfect, man. How we wish we are in England with you at this moment. But it is what it is, Luke. It is what it is. But guys, for all those that's watching out there, that's LUKE CHADWICK there. You guys previously would have seen him with some hair. But right now he's got a beautiful trim beard on. That's LUKE CHADWICK, guys. But Luke, we're going to hold you on there for a moment, because we do have a super fan on board. This super fan has been what it is. I think without him, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
No, KAL, you want to chime in?
Definitely. He reached out to LUKE, had a conversation with LUKE, built that rapport with LUKE, and LUKE's like, I'll give this guy a chance. Let me speak to him. LUKE kind of, okay, he's a good guy. It's a good guy. So, you got to give credit when credit is due. LUKE wouldn't be on the show without our super fan. Yes. And also, we got to thank LUKE once again for being on the show. Really appreciate taking time from your obviously busy schedule now in your new role. So shall we bring on the super fan?
Yes. So guys, welcome on board the super fan, Mark. Super fan. Sancho is not coming, my brother. Jose.
Hi guys, and hi LUKE. Thanks for coming on board.
No worries,
I really
Mark. Good
appreciate
to see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mark's obviously a Man U fan, and Luke, why we keep saying Sancho's not coming? Because in past shows, when it comes to transfers at United, he has already said it's Sancho or nothing. It's Sancho or nothing. And every time we meet him or we just catch up with him, it's the same story: Sancho or nothing. He believes Sancho is the savior of Manchester United. So as the hours tick by, tick tock, no Sancho's coming in. Mark, humble pie is being served sooner or later.
Mark, how are you
We
feeling
all
right
eat-
now, Mark?
I'm feeling okay after like everyone eat humble pie yesterday. After all the score lines we seen yesterday and the City game. Yeah, so
Yep.
yeah, can't wait to let Luke share his experiences on what it's like under the old United, as in the greatest team in the world.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah,
Fair
man. I mean,
enough,
look,
fair enough.
we are just here to know what is life like as a Premier League player. What's life like to go into Manchester United as a youth player? But guys, before that, I would just like to say for those watching, guys, please like, share, and comment on Facebook, YouTube, and please subscribe to our channels as well. It's Luke Chadwick Live, guys. You are really watching this right now. And Kel,
Yo,
I would love to have Luke to tell us and bring through us memory lane. But Luke, there are many people out there who has been chiming in us with the comments. Shall we take a look at it?
let's go. Let's see what they're saying.
Deepan
Deepan Ramani. What's up?
brother? Luke, I want to tell you something, Luke. Deepan is a Villa fan. He's a diehard supporter. So you want to give a shout out to Deepan?
Yeah, I bet he's absolutely delighted after the game yesterday. So congratulations to him. I bet he's having a good day today.
Johnny Robin, JGMU, Glory, Manchester United. Eza Sharil, Everton can be top till New Year at least. Oh, this is something interesting. Luke, what do you think about this comment, Luke? I mean,
they've certainly started very well. I think it's going to be tough for them to stay up there, but with Calvert-Lewin scoring as many goals as he is, it'll be interesting after the international break to see the Merseyside derby, and I hope they win that game as well. I'll be pleased to see Everton still top of the league after that.
all right.
I won't be surprised. Emily, go.
My wife. And that's my wife right there.
Oh, sorry. I hope I got the voice down right, but there you go.
All right.
Gaurav, one of the regulars, a Manchester United fan as well. Hello, Luke.
Hello, Luke.
Game on love, Luke. Fans adore you. Steven, hey Luke, how you doing, mate? I bet he's doing good. He looks good. Rocking out the beard as well. Part of the Bearded Brothers.
Oh, to think of it, all of us have beard today, including Mark. Interesting.
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
Jude. Wow, Luke Chadwick, eh? Napshot Studio on fire. Well, thanks to Luke, it is on fire today.
Yeah. So,
Hell, you want to
Luke.
take this?
oh, this guy. Okay. Mark, you want to take it? You know the story? Go for it.
Luke,
Oh, look, he's an anti-United fan. So he just wants you to go to the dark side.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, he hates United. He hates United.
I think if I'm not wrong, this is a pun intended for a Star Wars pun, if I'm not wrong. Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Nice try,
Very
Alan.
tricky.
Nice try. Daniel Ong, legend Mark and Luke. Ooh.
Ooh, different category, guys.
So,
Hang.
Alright.
Hi, Luke. Lightning Thunder all the way, man.
Emmanuel Robert. Oh, Luke, that's my brother there, Luke. Oh my God, Luke, this is amazing.
A lot
Okay.
of love. Gaurav, Luke, can't wait to tell you stories. Tell us stories of Fergie.
Oh,
One of the
yes.
dinner topics we'll cover, but let's start with Luke as well.
Okay.
Je m'appelle Tedito. I hope I got that right. How did we get Luke here? So cool. Ask him. He was willing to give us time. He's cool.
Yep. He's a cool chap. I think that was the last one. Kel.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
without any time, Kel, hit it.
Yep.
Let's take us down to memory lane. Hit it, Kel.
Yeah, so Luke, before we begin anything and so, just want to know, give the fans an update. What are you up to? How's life been? What are you currently doing? Share with us. We'd like to hear.
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. I at the moment I'm involved in an organisation called the Football Fun Factory, which, as the name suggests, it's around trying to make football fun for young children, kids aged between 2 and 12 years old, and it's not really a development program. We're not linked to professional clubs. It is purely around children of all abilities coming together and playing football, and probably using football as a vehicle to promote really positive life skills like teamwork, communication, sportsmanship, just as it is around kids getting better at football. So it's a really rewarding organisation I'm in at the moment, and I'm really looking forward to growing that and trying to make it as big as possible to see hundreds of thousands of children just playing football because that's what they love doing.
Yeah, definitely. And the funny thing is, from what I know, most ex-players will go into punditry or do some kind of commentary and things like that, or get involved in the media. I think you didn't go that route. You went on an alternative route. Why is that so? Was that to carry on the passion?
Definitely. I think I really struggled when I finished playing football. I didn't know what to do with myself, really. Maybe that loss of identity of not knowing where I really sat in the world, really. I went along my coaching qualifications and done various licensing and whatever, but I never really saw myself as a coach while I was playing. It weren't something that I really intended on doing. I went coached at a professional football club, worked with the young players there, but didn't really enjoy it that much, to be honest with you. So the role I'm in now, it does really strip the game all back. It's sort of all around just fun and enjoyment. That's why I started playing football as a 6, 7, 8-year-old boy, and it's just such a reward. I'm really happy involved in that and just giving it a bit back to the local community where I was brought up, and just seeing young players young people from around this area just enjoying playing football.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Did they try to recreate any of your goals?
No. There weren't that many to recreate.
The famous ones against Leeds. You never know.
I think the one against Leeds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget. That was probably my greatest moment in a Manchester United shirt, to score that goal. I remember to this day, I still think about it most days. I usually put it on my Twitter or social media profile to make sure everyone sees it most days of the week. But it was an incredible moment to score against such big rivals. And it was, I just remember Nigel Martin, the Leeds goalkeeper, sort of spilling the ball, and my eyes lit up, really. It was, even I couldn't miss that one. I just tapped it in the goal and then ran off like a lunatic. It was a wonderful moment, absolutely wonderful moment.
Awesome. It just brings us back to memory lane at Manchester United, because from what we know, you were an under-13 development player at Arsenal. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm from Cambridge, which is in the south of England, quite a distance away from Manchester. I obviously played local kids football and then got picked up by Arsenal and played a season for them. At the same time, I was playing for the area team that I live in, the Cambridge schools team, where I was scoring a fair few goals and built a bit of a reputation. People knew that I was quite a good player. And off the back of that, Manchester United sent a scout to watch me, and he invited me up to go to a trial at Manchester United when I was 14 years old. So it was I went up there for a week and then I signed, and it was obviously incredible. It was something completely different. I live in a tiny little village just outside Cambridge, so Manchester was a different world, but it was something that I'm obviously honoured by and hugely proud of.
Beautiful. But Mark, I know you have a hard-burning question. I know you would love to ask him something about the youth setup. But Mark,
Yes.
Mark, go ahead, Mark. This is your turn.
Definitely, because did Sir Alex Ferguson phone you up personally to persuade you to join United as a kid?
Yeah, so I went up, I mentioned there, I went up for a trial. I stayed in Manchester for a week with probably about 15, 16 other talented boys from across the country, from around the UK. And then at the end of that week, we've had a game against Nottingham Forest where Sir Alex was there watching. And by the time I got back on the train to where I live, my mum picked me up and told me that Sir Alex Ferguson had phoned her up that afternoon to ask me to sign for the club. So once I thought she was mucking about to start with, but when I found out it was true, it was there was only ever going to be one team that I signed for after that.
Wow,
Look,
that's
No,
that's
definitely.
amazing.
when Sir Alex called you, was there any point of time you thought, hey, is this a prank or is this really Sir Alex?
So yeah, to start with, I couldn't believe it. But as I got to know him, the more and more that it weren't just me that he'd do that for. The man was an absolute genius in how he ran that football club. I spent time when I was a first team player. I'd be in the canteen at Carrington sometimes getting my lunch, and there'd be under 10, under 11 academy players there, and the manager had come in and he'd know every single one of their names. He'd know what their parents were called. He'd know a little detail about them, and it was them tiny little details that he went through. He'd treat everyone with so much respect, whether he was a kit man, a dinner lady. He'd treat them just as well as he'd treat Roy Keane or Gary Neville. He was an absolute genius how he built relationships and the way that you wanted to work harder than you thought you could work for. And when you got praise off him, it was the most incredible feeling in the world for him to say, well done to you. That was all you were ever trying to do at the club, was to impress the manager. And he built such a wonderful football team, and the whole environment, the whole culture of the club it blew my mind really from the second that I went up there as a child.
Yeah. But did Arsenal ever call you back? Did they say, hey, Luke, do you want to come back and be part of the team?
Yeah, so
After
Arsenal weren't actually particularly happy about that. They sent the manager at the time was Bruce Rioch. He was come to my house to ask me to sign for Arsenal, and I'd already made my mind up. So me and my mum were sat in the living room with Bruce Rioch and the youth development officer at Arsenal, and I just sort of said, "Oh, give us a little bit of time to think about it." And I think I got my mum to phone back to say I weren't going to sign because I was a bit scared about it.
So you were 14 at the time, right?
Yeah, because back then, once you turned 14, that was when you were allowed to sort of officially sign for a professional club. So at 14, you'd sign schoolboy forms that'd take you to 16 when you left school.
Yeah.
So that was the first time you'd really sign a proper, obviously not paid because you were still at school, but like a proper contract that meant something.
But can you imagine the power you have? You get first Sir Alex Ferguson signing you, and Arsenal comes and you're like, nah, at 14 years of age, can you imagine that? It's insane.
Yeah, it's obviously a strange feeling, but it was obviously fantastic. Arsenal was a fantastic football club, but the second I went up to Manchester United, it just felt so different. It felt they made you feel so important, so good at what you were doing. Everyone seemed so happy to be there, and the whole culture of the place was like light years ahead of any other football club at that time.
Yeah, so getting signed with United and then going on to Carrington and being part of the team, what was that experience like from that age of 14 and going up the ranks of United? How was that like for you?
Yeah, so while I was still at school from the age of 14 to 16, I'd just go up to Manchester at the weekends and on school holidays because obviously it was quite a long way away. And then as soon as I finished school, it was a day after I finished school, I moved up to Manchester full time. And it was obviously hugely exciting time, but at the same time, a little bit nervous, a little bit of trepidation around it. I was quite a really quiet, shy lad, and weren't completely comfortable about moving away from the little village where I lived up to Manchester, a big city and that sort of thing. But I was incredibly homesick for the first 2-3 weeks where I'd phone my mum up crying, saying I want to go home and that sort of thing. But once I got through them 2 years as an apprentice of 16 to 18, after I'd just left school, I was playing football, doing something I love every day. It was probably two of the best years of my life, and I absolutely loved being an apprentice player at Manchester United.
Yeah, and being an apprentice, were you made to do certain tasks? Were you? Because give an example, there were some rumors of players being asked to wash boots, pack the jersey, something along the lines where you got to earn your dues in the way. Back in the day, you got to earn your dues or earn your stripes. Were there any funny stories you want to share?
Yeah, it was always something I weren't that keen on, to be honest with you, the jobs at the end of training, but it was something that had to be done properly. I was in charge of cleaning David May and Gary Pallister's football boots, so I had to do the two centre halves. I remember in my early days, I'm really forgetful, so I'd forget to do it a lot of the time, but I remember Gary Pallister calling me out and telling me that I on to make sure that they're clean every day, or I was going to be in trouble. We had to.
What's the worst that can happen if you do not clean the boots? Like, what if you forgot and then you just just leaving it out? What's going to happen?
Yeah, you get a telling off. But probably the most important thing about cleaning the first team players' boots was that sort of time that you'd spend around them. It sort of made it feel like the first team wasn't that far away. You'd realise that these were just normal guys that have done incredibly well. So that sort of social aspect of it was so important, and probably something that's lost a little bit in the game today, where you'd have that real closeness to first team players. So it was a steep learning curve. I had to make sure I remembered to clean them boots every morning, or I knew I'd get a good telling off about it. We also had to well, it was at the Cliff, so we weren't at Carrington when I first moved there.
Oh, okay.
At the end of every day, we had to make sure the Cliff was absolutely spotless. So most days it would be the youth team manager would go and check everything. That was Eric Harrison at the time. And if anything weren't done, then we'd have to do it. Occasionally, Sir Alex Ferguson would check everything, and he used to check even closer than Eric. Yeah. So he'd sort of put his finger across the top of a door or something, and if there was any dust on it whatsoever, he'd go mad at us and tell us we had to start all over again. So we had some really long days at the Cliff, making sure that it was spotless before we went home.
Wow, that must have really built some kind of character and some kind of steel in you as well. I mean, to keep doing these tasks, even though it's actually quite menial, but to get it done properly. Ferguson was trying to instill some kind of values in the youth players. Am I right?
Yeah, with everyone really. I think you were made to realise of what a honour it was and what a privilege you were in to be representing Manchester United Football Club, and so many life lessons that were learnt there. Obviously, the majority of the young players that go up there don't end up in the Man United first team, but they go on for careers in other football clubs. But also, whatever walk of life, whether it's football, lorry driver, working in a supermarket, I think the life lessons that you learn at Manchester United in terms of the kind of person they want there, just as much as a footballer, really helps you develop when football finishes, or if you go off to another club, of what the standards that you were sort of exposed to at Manchester United. So it was an incredible place to be at. And I'm sure I played a few first team games, but if you spoke to another player that didn't play a first team game, I'm sure he would have learned a huge amount of what it entails to be successful in any walk of life, really.
Yep, I agree.
You could not have said it any better, Luke. That was beautiful. But we would certainly want to hear your views on how and what first team football was like. But before that, we're going to hit some comments, Luke. These comments are coming in hot and spicy. Tristan Lowe. Luke, Tristan is Mark's brother.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving this small channel an opportunity of a lifetime. The United fans in Singapore will forever be grateful. Thank you, Luke. Oh, appreciate it. Definitely, Luke. It's such an honor to have you here. Alexander Lee, you could have been with the legendary Dennis Bergkamp. Luke, you want to say something about this?
But to be honest, he was an absolute legend. What an incredible player Dennis Bergkamp was. I didn't manage to get to play with them, but I did get to play with the likes of Beckham, Giggs, Keane, Teddy Sheringham. So it's a tough one, but Bergkamp is right up there in terms of world-class players.
The list just gets on, Luke. Beckham, Giggs, Gary. It just keeps ending on. I mean, Dennis Bergkamp, Alex, it's okay. We will move on. We'll move on. Mohammad Shafiq. Cheers, guys, and cheers, Cheddars.
Oh, that's an old school fan right there. Cheddars.
Cal, you want to take this?
Faisal Jabbar. Look, what's the difference between the current team and the championship winning team of yours?
Okay, I think we'll come back to this at the end of the show. Definitely. I mean, this is the one where we want to actually hit this at the final, where it's going to be spicy, it's going to be intense. So, FJ, we'll get to that at the end of the show. Before we end it, we'll definitely get Luke's views on that. I mean, he was on fire. I could say Luke he got up the chair and he wanted to go all out.
He was ready.
Yeah, he was really okay. We'll get to that shortly. No worries.
Yeah. Irfan, the next one. Luke, get Banks and Skolzy. Come on, guys. He's here to talk about himself. Let's talk about that
Come on,
later on.
guys. It's all about Luke
Sean,
today.
Sean
It looks
Gill.
like a football Tyson Fury. Oh,
He looks
yeah.
like the football Tyson Fury.
Look, I just want to ask this. I mean, yeah, you look kind of like Tyson Fury, but if anybody actually said that you look like Johnny Sins,
Sorry, say that again. I didn't hear that.
does anybody said that you look like Johnny Sins? You know, the actor.
I don't know who he is, but I'll take that. I'm sure
Okay,
it's better looking
alright.
than me.
Luke, word of advice. Word of advice. Don't Google it with anybody around you. Go in a private area, put your phone on private, and do what you have to do.
All right, man. I think we're done with the comments.
Thanks, Sean.
I think right now it's time to actually take us to a memory lane of what is it like to be actually playing first team football under Sir Alex and with lots of wonderful players around you.
Mark, go ahead, Mark. I know you've got some questions you want to ask Luke, and being a super fan, the stage is all yours, my friend.
Yes, like after you train with the first team players, right? I'm sure that a few of them will come up to you for chat and joke around. So who are the main jokers of the team back then?
I'd say the main jokers in that team, probably Nicky Butt and Ryan Giggs. They were the two. Obviously, they came through the youth team together with a class of 92, but they were certainly pretty lively around the dressing room and were real jokers in the pack. I think Dwight York would have been up there again. He was a real bubbly character who liked to have a laugh. It was obviously an amazing dressing room to be in with an incredible array of characters. But I'd say Giggs and Butt were usually the ones that were joking around, playing practical jokes.
No jokes from Keane?
Roy Keane was obviously incredibly intense on the training field, but off the pitch as well. Like he was you could have a laugh and a joke with him, but probably as a captain, he was such a supportive character, particularly with the young players coming through, and was an incredible leader of that team on the pitch, as obviously Sir Alex Ferguson was in the dressing room. So he was probably the ultimate captain. I describe him as the standards that he demanded, but at the same time, that human element to him as well.
Okay, so look, actually, before your spell in United's first team, right? United sent you to Royal Antwerp to gain some first team experience. How was the football experience over there in Belgium?
It was amazing. It was an incredible football experience and an incredible life experience as well. Obviously, going over to a different country, I probably had to grow up a little bit quicker and start. Obviously, at Manchester United, I get everything's more or less done for you. At Antwerp, I had to fend for myself a little bit more, and it was the first time I'd ever really played regular first team football. So I remember coming on in my first game as a substitute and scoring a goal, and all the crowd started singing my name, and I'll never forget the feeling of getting that and hearing them sing my name. It was amazing, and it was off the back of that I just wanted more of that. I just loved playing in front of people. It was obviously it was a good standard of football, nowhere near as high as the Premier League, but somewhere where I really earned my first team space and place, and where matches meant something. It weren't a reserve team game where it weren't the result weren't the be all and end all. It was proper football in a proper league, and it was a wonderful experience and something that I'll always look on with a lot of love.
I see. So did you get them promoted to the first division of the Belgium League?
So I went out there at after Christmas. I went out there for the end of the season, and we won the league, like the equivalent of their second division. So then I went back out there the following pre-season, and then we were in like the Belgium equivalent to the Premier League, playing the likes of Anderlecht and Club Brugge. So it was a really, really good experience.
Mark, anything else, Mark? I mean, you want to let it sound off your chest, mate.
Yeah. The next burning question was when United recalled you back to the first team, what was the difference like? Did you want to stay at Royal Antwerp, and the feeling of moving back to the United's first team and fighting for a place?
Yeah, so when I got told that I had to go back to Manchester United, I was absolutely gutted, because I was playing really well at Antwerp and I was really enjoying it there. I assumed that I was getting taken back to Manchester to be like back in the reserve team because I'd been away for a long time. So when I got back to United, I was quite surprised to be in the first team squad. And it was obviously a massive difference to training with Manchester United than it was Royal Antwerp. At Antwerp, I was one of the better players and knew that I'd start the games, and maybe Sundays didn't train as well as I could. At Man United, I remember the first day I gave a couple of sloppy passes away, and Roy Keane told me in no uncertain terms that wasn't what it was going to be like there. So it was a real difference, a real culture shock, as it were, to what I was used to, but a real incredible learning curve as well, of being around these elite performers day in, day out.
Oh my God, Luke, speaking of Roy Keane, Luke, what was it like to be training, playing with him, or even communicating with him?
So communicating with him was easy, because he was a fantastic man. There was times at United where I couldn't drive, and he'd go out his way to pick me up, to take me to the training ground. He'd do everything he could to help his teammates. On the training field, he drove standards like they were incredible, the standards there from all players. So if I made a mistake, he'd have a go at me. If David Beckham would make a mistake, he'd have a go at him. I think there was times when me and a couple of the other young lads, we used to have a little game at the end of every training session, and we used to sort of joke together that we really hoped we weren't on his team, because you knew if you got beat and he was on his team, he'd give you a hard time for the rest of the day. But he was, like I say, he was an incredible man, an incredible captain of that football club.
Oh my, beautiful, Kel.
Fantastic. I would imagine that as well. And playing with all these players, obviously you had to raise your game up, the stakes up for you as well. From Antwerp and back to the Manchester training ground, how did you find it in terms of the training? Were there any bust ups? Were there any issues? Were there certain things besides the Roy Keane thing? Was there anything that actually made you go like, okay, this is like reality hits you, you're back at Manchester?
Yeah, it was such a whirlwind. It was sort of waking up every morning and pinching yourself because you think you're in a dream, training with these players every day. I think it was, for someone like me who didn't play many games, the training incredibly was probably harder than the games. So because everyone was fighting for a place in the team, it was incredibly intense. The standard was obviously incredibly high. You were just sort of working your socks off every day to stay at the level of these players. I think at the end of that season, despite the fact that I'd not played hardly anything compared to the other lads, I was exhausted both mentally and physically from just being amongst them players and training with them players every day. So it was a real intense season, but something that, like, an absolute honour to have been in and around that squad, one of the best squads that the club's had in many a year.
Yeah. How was Sir Alex right? How was Sir Alex right on the training pitch with you? If he saw something that wasn't in order, something wasn't right, will he look for Kino to come in and say something, or does he come in and put his arm around your shoulder and kind of guide you around the way?
He'd always sort of give you individual advice. He just knew how to deal with people. He knew if you needed a good telling off, or he knew if you needed to have an arm around you and sort of say that. A lot of the times he left it to his coaches to take the training sessions. So while I was there, it was mostly Steve McLaren, and training had started and it was incredibly intense. Everyone was working really hard. But as soon as Sir Alex just came out, just seeing him, just knowing that he was coming out, training would raise, everyone would raise their standards even more. So it was just the whole aura of the man, really, and just his presence there could just make a training session, the intensity, go through the roof, really. It was amazing, the sort of aura that he had around the football club.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful, mentor.
Yeah.
Yep.
So from there, making your first team appearance, how was your debut like? How was the match day experience like for you? I mean, bring the whole story now. If you go back, getting signed by United, being loaned out, and then being in the youth academy for a bit, and loaned out, coming back to United, training, and now you're in the big stage for your debut. What were you feeling? If you can bring back those memories, what were you feeling on your first match day experience, on your Manchester United debut?
Yeah, I think the one that I remember is my Premier League debut. We played Middlesbrough at Old Trafford. I think we were winning 1-0, and I came on with about 2 minutes to go. But even then, I was so excited. I had so much nervous energy inside me. I think I touched the ball once or twice in the time that I was on the pitch, but I reckon I had a smile on my face for about the next 2 weeks afterwards, just to actually have appeared in a game for Manchester United in the Premier League. I think when you're growing up as kids, you just think, even if I played 1 second of one game in the Premier League, my whole life's complete and I'll be happy with that. So to actually have achieved that and gone on the pitch, I remember walking down the tunnel coming off, and I remember Roy Keane sort of tapped me on the back and said, "Well done." And I weren't sure if he was being sarcastic because I've only been on the pitch 2 minutes. That was what it was like. Even if you played 30 seconds or even if you didn't come on, you were part of that squad. And like the camaraderie within the squad was incredible. And that was where a lot of the success came from, I think.
Yep. And then from there, and your goal against Leeds. I mean, United's age-old nemesis with Liverpool. There you go, running off into the sunset, celebrating that tap-in. Bring back those memories. Share with us what was the match day like for you, being such the rivalry with Leeds and United, and then as well as scoring that goal and running off, celebrating. Could you bring back all these emotions and share them with us?
Yeah,
I think what about you start off with the moment you woke up from your bed. That day is against Leeds, and you woke up from the bed. Boom.
Yeah.
What happened?
Let's start from there.
So we would have been in a hotel. We would have travelled the night before. So I think it was an earlier kickoff. So we'd have got up a little bit earlier for our pre-match dinner. I was obviously incredibly excited. I knew I wouldn't have been starting that game. I was on the bench and just watching the first half in the dugout at Ellen Road. Obviously, you can hear a fair bit of unkind words towards Manchester United from behind you. And Nicky Butt was struggling with a bit of an injury during the first half. And Sir Alex told me just before the end of the first half, that I'd be going on for the second half. So I went and had a good warm-up. Again, some quite unpleasant things being shouted from the sideline as you're warming up. So that always made you run a little bit quicker. So I got warmed up a bit quicker. But then come on the pitch, obviously nervous, excited. It was a huge game. It was a scrappy first half. There was no goals. They were probably the better team, in all honesty. They had a good team back then. I think Mark Viduka was causing some problems, and they were probably the better team. Against the run of play, we went at a counter-attack. I think Scholesy sent Ollie through, and I'm sort of just following up. And Ollie's had, incredibly for him, who's one of the best finishers I've ever seen, he's had quite a weak shot. And Nigel Martin, I just assumed one of the best keepers in the Premier League at the time. He'd just gather it, but he pushed it out, and I just saw that I was going to get the ball first, and my face lit up. I think you can see on that picture that you just had up there that I couldn't believe that I just scored against Leeds. But it was just an incredible moment where you know the ball's in a position where you cannot miss. Only thing that can happen is you roll it in the goal. So I did that, and obviously you realise what a big moment it is because you're playing Leeds. It's give the team a 1-0 lead. I remember for the rest of the game or for the next 20 minutes after that, I just wanted the ref to blow the whistle so it'd end 1-0 and Chadwick scored the winning goal. Well, unfortunately, that didn't quite happen because Viduka scored at the end to make it 1-1. But again, I was on cloud 9 getting on the bus after the game and just realising what you've dreamt to doing from a small child of scoring in an important game. It was a great moment for me, and again, something I obviously will never ever forget.
And what was the atmosphere in the dressing room like? Did Keane come up to you and say, "Good job, kid, well done"?
Yeah, I think the lad said, "Well done." I think there was tinges of disappointment because we were poor. United were poor on the day. Obviously, Leeds got an equaliser and then pushed for it. Leeds definitely deserved to win that game, I'd say, the way they played. So I think there was a bit of disappointment at the fact that we were so poor and we'd let a 1-0 lead slip, but probably a little bit of relief that we hadn't lost the game and we'd got the draw. So it was, in my head, everyone else was probably a little bit disappointed, but I was absolutely buzzing because I'd just scored a goal for Man United.
Yeah, definitely. And at Ellen Road, of all places.
Of all places, Kel, I mean, that place is beautiful, but I think, Luke, those unkind words, it's going to be terrible. Luke, Mark has been showing us this video of you scoring against Leeds time and time again before leading up to this show. I know you want to say something. I know you want to do something. You want to show how he celebrated. The stage is yours, my brother.
No, I'm not good. I know he did this. Then he ran to Ole and the rest. But Luke, okay. There was another time where you scored, right? And we won the game. I remember Bex put you through, and you shot past the Brentford keeper.
That was probably a much better goal than the Leeds one. It was an incredible pass by David Beckham, and I scored with my left foot, which I only usually use for standing on, really. So it's quite a shock that it ended up being in the goal. But again, it was a game that I came on at half time. Again, we were poor in the first half. The score was 0-0. But I remember the second half, and Ryan Giggs was absolutely unbelievable and absolutely took Bradford to the cleaners, the way he ran with the ball and beat players. And I think that game's probably most remembered for the former keeper Gary Walsh having a bit of a nightmare when he tried to kick the ball out, and it went straight to Teddy, who knocked it in an empty goal. But it was a good performance in the second half, and it was obviously, again, great so that was my first ever goal for United, so it was again a hugely special moment for me.
Oh, beautiful, man.
Brilliant, amazing.
You got to hold on to your horns there, Mark, because we have lots of people in the comment sections coming in. Luke, let's hit it. Derek Ho, what was it like playing with Roy Keane? I think he has said it, but just for you, my brother, I think Luke would love to say, what is it like to play with Roy Keane?
Yeah, again, incredible. One of the best players the club's ever had. Intense. You didn't want to make a mistake because you knew that he'd be on you straight away. But at the same time, incredible passing range as well, where you could make little runs and he could find you on the ball in really good areas. So it was fantastic to play with, as long as you weren't playing badly.
Faisal Jabbar, were you ever at the receiving end of the hairdryer treatment by SCF? Ooh, this is always been asked of. Luke, was there ever a hairdryer treatment?
A couple of times I got a telling off. It weren't on the football pitch. There was a couple of things. There's one time where the manager wanted me to go on loan to a certain club, but I wanted to go somewhere else, and he had quite a go at me about that. But I think, in terms of people talking about the hairdryer treatment, going back to Sir Alex Ferguson, it was obviously incredibly scary if the great man was shouting at you. But the much, much worse than that was the feeling of letting Sir Alex down, because it was the one thing that you didn't want to do. You wanted him to impress him. So it was such a horrible feeling, thinking that you'd let him down, because he was obviously the main man, and he was the man that you're always trying to impress, whether that be off the field or your conduct off the field or your performance on the field. So in terms of the hairdryer treatment, incredibly scary, of course, but more importantly, you never wanted to let him down.
Well said, man.
Yes.
Deepan Ramani, which was the toughest game you have played in United colours? Go ahead, Luke.
The toughest game would probably have been the most disappointing, and in terms of the club not fulfilling their potential, would have been the Champions League quarter-final at Bayern Munich, where we were beaten. I came on for about 10 minutes in that game. You can feel the enormity of the game and sort of what it meant to everyone. And I remember obviously I was a bit of a younger player, so I probably didn't feel it as much, but you could just see how much it hurt everyone in the dressing room after the game. So that was probably the toughest game that I've ever been part of or played in.
Beautiful. There's two more. From the mayor himself, Luke, this guy here, he's a huge Liverpool fan. Who was with you in the England squad under 21, the likes we know as fans?
So I was involved in an England under 21 squad that had loads of fantastic players. So the likes of Frank Lampard.
Ooh, Kel.
Super Frank.
Ashley Cole, another one. But I'm sure Zed would like me to say, obviously, one of the best of the lot was Steven Gerrard, and Jamie Carragher was in that squad as well. So I was really fortunate to play with some fantastic players in that squad.
Yeah. Look, just talk us through of your England international experience, though. I mean, what was it like? You had the likes of Stevie G, Jamie, Frank. What was it like? How did you able to cope yourself in there?
So when I started playing, the first England team I played for was the England under-18 teams. Again, I played with the likes of Steven Gerrard in that, who was a fantastic player. But I was sort of done really well in that team. But whereas a lot of the other guys were sort of starting to get in their club's first team, I was probably a long way away from that because I was at Manchester United. I think when I got Howard Wilkinson was the manager of our under-18s team, England under-18 team. So he was probably my biggest fan. So probably the manager that rated me higher than anyone else. I think he thought I was unbelievable. So he got the job as the England under-21 manager. And he put me in that squad without ever playing a first-team game for United. So I turned up at the England training camp, and I don't think anyone had a clue who I was because I'd never played for the first team at United. So it was strange that I got in the England under-21 squad so early, really, in my career. But again, done quite well in some games, and it was amazing to represent your country. It was an incredible feeling, and to play with such top players as well.
Beautiful. Let's hit the last comment. Jeremy Fantase. Look, among the great players, who was a stinger in tackles? Ooh, it seems like someone that we know, Luke.
So I'd say, talking about my Man United days, it would probably be probably the best defender that I would have played against would have been Ashley Cole, who I played against a lot growing up because he was the same sort of age as me. So we'd play against each other or not. But in terms of sort of the tacklers, it would probably come in training from the likes of Roy Keane, Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, because training was just as important to the game. So all the players would tackle as they would in a game. So there was a few tackles flying about there, and they weren't always punished as they possibly would be with a proper referee in charge. So you always had to be on your toes and make sure that you moved the ball quickly and you weren't on the receiving end of too many stinging tackles.
That's great. Guys, for all those that's watching out there, thank you guys for coming in and chiming in with your comments. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and keep sharing this video across the entire Singapore. Guys, it's Luke Chadwick live with us. We can never get this at any time. Luke is a busy man. He gave us his time today, so let the whole world know that Luke Chadwick is online. Luke, we just want to play a small slide game with you. Kel, you want to tell him what game it is?
We're going to pop up 5 photos, Luke. 5
Okay.
random photos throughout your years as a professional footballer. Walk us through it. Tell us a good memory, a funny story, something that just hits you about this picture, any emotions you want to share. So if you're ready, let's begin.
Here we go.
First one.
Oh, beautiful.
Pretty sure that would have been at the Stadium of the Light against Sunderland. I started that game and it was one of my best performances for United. I think I set a couple of goals up and had a really good game. Again, Ryan Giggs, who's obviously one of the best players to ever play for the club, he was absolutely exceptional that day as well. After the game, and I only ever knew this to happen at Sunderland, that they'd give a Man of the Match award to both the home team and away team, and I actually received it for Manchester United, and I had to go up to and receive this doesn't. I've never known this to happen. So obviously, there's loads of fans in this room that are all Sunderland fans, of course.
Yeah.
And the Manchester United player went up and received his bottle of champagne, and there weren't many claps or cheers. I can assure you of that. But I remember taking my bottle of champagne back onto the coach after the game, and Sir Alex Ferguson actually took it off me because he said I was too young to take it home, even though I was 20 years older than that was a funny story regarding that. But again, it was amazing. That was probably one of my best ever performances for the club, playing for the full 90 minutes.
Yeah, fantastic. Beautiful story as well. I never knew.
Yeah, so this is a time when probably my United career was sort of coming to an end. This was against Ipswich. I'd just come back from a groin injury here, which resulted in me having surgery. So I think when I came back from that, the one sort of the main outstanding quality that I had as a young player coming through was being incredibly fast to run with the ball. I think when that picture was taken, I started to maybe lose a little bit of that with the problems that I was having with my groin, hip and pelvis area. So that was probably a period where my United career was sort of winding down. I think you can see on that picture the guy was sitting down and still been able to tackle me. So I weren't
Well played. Ah, classic. Classic England jersey as well.
Classic England jersey.
So I'm not sure, but I think this picture was taken when we went and played Albania. So we went to play Albania in a UEFA qualifier. We were in the same hotel as the full squad, and if I remember correctly, it was a tough game, and we won 1-0. And Jonathan Greening scored the goal, and then I think he also broke his foot because we flew back that night, and he couldn't drive his car. So I remember he had to stay in my apartment that evening. So that does bring back some memories there.
On and off the pitch.
Yeah.
Fantastic. There we go.
Another celebration.
Yeah, so that was just after I'd scored. I looked really surprised there because I just scored with my left foot, as we mentioned earlier, against Bradford. That was my first goal. I remember not really knowing what to do with myself. I ran towards the crowd, then sort of turned around, and I think Teddy Sheringham was the first to congratulate me. So that was obviously a wonderful memory.
Fantastic.
Right, now for the last one. Oh, no, the second last.
I don't know where that is. I don't know who that's against, but it does remind me that area of my head now is very bald to how it looks there.
Good one. One more? We got one more?
So that day, I would have been in the crowd as a scholar player, as a YTS player. We was all at the stadium behind the goal, and it was like one of the most amazing nights in United's history and football history. That turnaround in the last couple of minutes of the game was absolutely incredible, and you can see the joy on the players' faces there. They've just really made history in that game, which was an incredible season for the club.
Yeah, and actually it's a pretty good segue because I know Mark has got some questions. He's been asked. He has this questions that he want to ask you about the Champions League from start to end. He's got a few questions ready. Mark, you ready? Super fan, go for it.
Okay, look, during the celebration, did you lose something? I mean, the crowd?
I think everyone lost. I've never seen so many fans in the stadium that night. I think before the game, I'd lost my ticket at one stage. I didn't think I was even going to get in. But it was absolute chaos behind the goal where we were. So fortunately, I think I lost a few things that day, but fortunately, I found them all. And went home. Luckily, it weren't my passport. I'd probably still be in Barcelona now, trying to find my way home.
Oh, my.
Trust me, they'll need a player like you right now.
Yeah, so did you play with the team the next season after the treble?
So the next season after that is when I went to Antwerp, and it would have been the season after that where I played the majority of games that I played in the United first team.
Oh, yes, correct. Guys, any questions for Luke?
Oh, all right. Mark, anything else for you? I mean,
are you good with the questions?
Are you good with the questions? Because you were all started. Luke, he just couldn't wait for you to come in, and then he was like going, "Oh my God, Luke is there," and then he just went blank for 5 seconds, and then
before we go to the next one, I just got to do a little quick shout out because Luke, I give you a bit of backstory. In Singapore, I have a few friends who are massive United fans. And one of these fans, his name is Mark Den. So when we were watching a game of United against someone, I can't recall, and you came on, he was like, Chadwick's the man. Chadwick's dribbling. He just went ballistic about you. And he was raving about how awesome you are. So when I told him you're coming on the show, he just started texting me a whole lot of expletives. No way, and you can think about the rest. So, it's nice to know that your fans here in Singapore still love you and adore you. And they remember all the good memories you brought to the club as well.
That's lovely. Thank him a lot. That's nice. Really nice to hear. Thank you very much.
Beautiful,
Definitely.
beautiful. We went through memory lane. We went through such beautiful moments. I still can't get my head off that Leeds goal that you did. But I think along the time have come, and now, 2020, we have come to this. Your boy there by your side, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is the current United manager. How is it like? I mean, what is the feeling for you, Luke, that you've seen Ole as the manager right now of United?
Yeah, to be honest, obviously it's not been great this season, but I'm still hugely positive around Ole. I think what we've seen, it was always going to be tough when Sir Alex left. He achieved so much that it was almost going to be impossible. I think David Moyes came in, Louis van Gaal came in, Jose Mourinho came in, and particularly Van Gaal and Mourinho, I think they're always going to be short-term fixes. They're not going to stay at the club for a real long period of time. I think that is the idea behind Ole being in charge, someone to build something that's sustainable to go forward long term. Whether that's the case or not, nobody knows. But I think he knows the club inside out. He's a legend at the football club. He needs to be backed, obviously, today, if possible, to get players in. But in my opinion, he's still the right man for the job, because the model's not worked by just getting rid of the manager, by getting rid of Mourinho, by getting rid of Van Gaal, by getting rid of Moyes. It's not seen any improvement, really. The club finished really well. To get third place was an incredible achievement, considering where they were in the early months of the season. So you can't say give him time forever, but I do think he deserves to build something, what he started to build. What are we, 3 games into the season? Don't get me wrong, the performance yesterday was unacceptable, and that sort of thing can't happen again. But I just don't see where the club go if they decide that Ole's not the right man for the job.
Yeah, and I know we've all seen that video of Patrice Evra, Gary Neville having their emotional outburst on Sky, telling us what they really feel about the club. But now looking at the transfer window for United as an outside perspective solely, I know they're buying everyone up front. They've got Van der Beek, now they've got Cavani coming in. Based on it, look, I mean, in the balance of the team, do you think the team is currently not balanced? Because I don't see a leader in United. A la Pallister, Bruce, Keno, or even Scholesy to a certain extent, but I don't see a leader figure in United. Do you think that's what's the missing ingredient, someone to rally the boys and get them going?
Yeah, I think so to a certain extent. I think the game's changed slightly in this day and age from the players that you mentioned there, where you don't see that amount of huge characters in the game in terms of other clubs as well. You see Van Dijk at Liverpool is a fantastic leader. I think Manchester City have suffered greatly because they've lost their leader in Vincent Kompany. I think Harry Maguire was handed the captain's armbands to try and be that leader at the club, which I think he could be. But I think at the moment he's lacking so much in confidence, which is affecting his performance, that perhaps he's not leading the team. And you look past Maguire and you don't see anyone else. The young lad, McTominay, looks like he's got a fantastic big personality, but he's still incredibly young at the moment. So I think you're right there in terms of the personalities, but at the same time, they are few and far between in this day and age, where I think that sort of player has come out of the game to a certain extent. And if you have got one, they're, of course, worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, definitely.
Look, just want to ask you, look, what is the difference between the current team and the championship winning team of yours? What is the difference right now?
I think what you've mentioned there is a massive thing in terms of leaders, where there was a lot of leaders in that squad, and maybe the balance of the squad. I mean, that squad was built around probably the most incredible youth team that's ever been seen in world football, with the class of 92 being the real bedrock of the squad and sort of knowing the club inside out. And then the likes of Roy Keane added around that, Teddy Sheringham, Coley, Yorkie, the likes of Yap Stam. It was filled with huge character, but huge players that came through the club, that knew the club inside out. I think there is young players coming through now that we can be incredibly proud of, the likes of Rashford, the likes of Greenwood that have come through. But maybe the character they're more flair players that sort of make things happen incredibly well. That them big personalities, the Gary Nevilles, the Phil Nevilles, the Nicky Butts, the Ryan Giggses. Obviously, we hope in years to come that's what the Greenwoods and the Rashfords will be spoke about in the same way that them players are. But this was a bit further on in their development, and they were the bedrock of the team with world-class players and world-class people really dotted around them.
True, I agree.
Beautiful. Mark, I know you have something to ask him. Definitely. Go ahead, Mark. I'll let you have your stage.
All right, look, in this current team, right, which position is the priority right now that we have to reinforce?
I think it's glaringly obvious that the central defenders need addressing. It's a problem. Like the back four have not played well all season, like as a unit. But saying that, you look at Liverpool, City, obviously the benchmarks, but how they pressed with so much intensity all over the pitch. I think it just looks like it's maybe a little bit too easy to play against Manchester United at the moment and create chances against them. It's all very well blaming the back four that have been well below par, but even the front three, I don't think they've pressed with enough intensity. But I think a reason for that may be that they don't trust the players completely that are behind them, and they don't know whether to stick or twist, as it were. They don't know whether to have a full high press or drop off to a certain extent. And it just seems like we're stuck in the middle a little bit at the moment, which makes it so easy for teams to play through us and get at that back four that's obviously under a lot of pressure at the moment.
Yeah, and I know we talk about buying centre backs and things like that. Do you think, United are stacked with flair players up front, like really flair players, and the only defensive you got McTominay and Matic. Do you think you need another central, like strong, a CDM centre back kind of dual role, or do you just think just stick to the centre backs as it is right now?
Like in terms of the central midfield positions, I think there's enough there for that holding one with McTominay and with Matic. Matic was really poor yesterday, but he was one of our better players this season before yesterday, I think. In terms of it probably needs more from Pogba, if he's the one that's playing alongside him, who probably wasn't at the races yesterday out of possession and was too slow in recovery, too slow in getting to players that makes it easier to play round them. I think the centre defence, they're crying out for a centre defender, but the market's not rife with central defenders at the moment. There's not anyone you could just sort of look at and say he could solve all your problems. I mean, Van Dijk, when it going to Liverpool, completely changed them from an also ran into a team that's going to win Champions League, that's won Premier Leagues. There isn't many Van Dijks about, so that's when your recruitment needs to be so strong to find a hidden gem somewhere that can change this team. And I don't think at the moment the recruitment policy has been at a level that Liverpool's recruitment policy has. Even Manchester City's to a certain extent has. So it's finding them players that are going to come and make a huge difference that we might not know are going to make a huge difference at this moment in time.
Yeah.
You said it perfectly, sir. Recruitment and all this is pretty much a necessity in a club. We can speak about the players not performing. We can speak about Ole, but the board has an all, like the whole management team. Do you think the board has failed us ever since Ferguson left us?
I mean, to be honest with you, I see how upset people are about that, and but I've got no idea on the running of the club, so it'd be hard for me to comment on that and blame any individuals or any specifics. It obviously something's not right, because if you're Manchester United, you should be able to attract any caliber of player, because it's still, in my opinion, the biggest football club in the world. So there's obviously issues there, but for my understanding of it, it'd be wrong of me to comment on it, because I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. And what's your thoughts of Cavani coming in up front?
Well, obviously had an absolute stellar career, world class player. You do look at it and think he was available, so they just went and got him because they're struggling to get anyone else. I think it's so important that if Cavani comes in and has a good start, makes a fast start, scores a goal, you have sort of memories of Ibrahimovic and Henrik Larsson and the sort of incredible effect that they had at the club. And could Cavani be one of them? It'd be interesting to see where he plays. Obviously, at his best in a number 9 position, which is Martial's shirt at the moment. And you do worry a bit of Martial's reaction if he's out the team or not playing his favourite position. But something needs to change, doesn't it? And if you get the opportunity of a world-class player like Cavani, albeit coming towards the end of his career, but we've seen with Larsson, we've seen with Ibrahimovic what an incredibly positive impact these players have had on the club.
Do you think he'll actually lift the players up? Because, for example, a player of Cavani's caliber coming into United and getting the kind of quality, do you think the players will be like, okay, we got to raise our game and start mentally getting them in the right space?
Definitely. I think players, you can see that squad's crying out for reinforcements. And someone with a big of reputation of Cavani can give everyone a little bit of a spring in their step and think, oh, this guy, look at the career this guy's had. Now he's part of our squad. He's going to help us move forward.
Yeah, especially with Champions League. He's a predator at the Champions League, so he'll be very, very essential for United to get through. And they play PSG, so they'll be interesting to watch as well.
Yeah, it will be an interesting one.
Mark, shoot it, Mark. I know you have something in your head.
Okay, moving forward, Luke. Do you see Greenwood at the number 9 as he matures? Or do you see him on the right wing?
I think he's more than capable of playing the 9. I think the way the game's gone, or the game is now, with teams playing a front 3 with a 7 and a 9 and 11, there's not that many number 9s out there anymore. I mean, we saw the prime example of probably the best one in the world yesterday at Old Trafford in Harry Kane. But I think Greenwood's, Rashford, Martial, them 3 are all capable of interchanging and playing in any of them top 3 positions. And I think where Greenwood's real strengths are is finding places where he can get shots off and manipulating the ball really quickly, where potentially he gets more opportunity of doing that coming off the left-hand side or coming off the right-hand side. I absolutely think that he'll play games in the number 9 position, but I think the way that the club, the team's set up and that sort of interchanging of the front 3, we'll see him sort of, he won't have play number 9 every week. I don't see that personally.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Cal, go ahead.
And Luke, based on what we see now with United, what is the one player they need to buy, in your opinion? If United, obviously being United, the brand is still massive. It's still one of the biggest, if not the biggest club in the world, if not England and things like that. Who do you think that's at one? I know one man cannot change the team. I understand that. But what do you think one player could come in and galvanize them even further?
Well, if I could choose anyone in the world, and obviously this is never going to happen in a million years, I genuinely think if you add Van Dijk to that United squad, that they could challenge. But that's the impact that he's had on Liverpool.
Yeah.
That he's turned them around, and sort of that one leader at the back who's so, I mean, don't get me wrong, he weren't great yesterday against Villa, but I think that is the player that could make United a different proposition. I think that changes Harry Maguire. I think he becomes a little bit more confident straight away, but pointless talking about it because I can't imagine that they're going to put a bid in for him.
I would have gone with Rafael Varane from Real Madrid. Put in money, put in a few players, ship them off, get him in to just stabilize the defense. But yeah,
it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Sometimes I think maybe
I'm not even a United fan, but I feel the pain last night watching the game and getting the comments. And I'm like, this is the club. It's a Chelsea fan. When we first came up, was the club we were trying to beat. And now seeing them and how they are, I was like, geez, it's so sad. Like it's weird.
Kel, if there's one thing that I've learned as a United supporter, and I think you will agree with me, is trust the process. Never go away from it. Trust the process. Luke, am I right?
Without a doubt. Obviously, it's been a few tough years now, but you still believe in the club. I still believe in that organisation to come good and be sat pretty at the top of the league again. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Look, we are going to wrap up the show soon. Let's hit just 3 comments, and I'll probably will call it a night for today. And let's hit the comment section, fellas. Kel, you want to take this, Kel?
Yeah, thanks for the name. Echernmut Nashalon. I hope I got your name right. If I'm wrong, if it's wrong, I'm really sorry. How long more would you give Ole at the helm? Owen was saying yesterday that he might not get the best out of the players. Would you agree? Ooh.
I actually probably would disagree with that. When I look back, I think the likes of Pogba and Martial, two characters that I think over the years have probably been hard for managers to deal with. I think when they have been on top of the game, Ollie's been the one that's got the most out of them, has got the best football out of them. Obviously, that hasn't been the case this season. But I would say that one of Ollie's massive talents is his man management and trying to get the best out of people. That might sound a bit contradictory considering what went on yesterday, but I do trust in his ability to build relationships with people and really get the best out of them.
Beautifully said, Luke. Beautifully said. We trust in Ole then. Let's hit the next comment.
Maverick Top. If having
Having
a pure
a pure
number
number
9
nine.
holding the ball is still important in today's game?
Oh, definitely. I think Harry Kane showed that yesterday, to have a player that can look after the ball. I think whereas United are blessed with incredible pace up top with Greenwood, Martial and Rashford, they probably haven't got the hold-up ability. So United seem to be more effective on the break than really building play for long periods of time. I think if you're going to stay on the ball for really long periods of time, you probably need that number 9 that looks after the ball and sort of holds it up and can be really strong. So I think it is still important. I think if you're playing a really fast counter-attacking brand of football, probably not as important as if you're playing a team that's all possession-paced or playing where you want him to get clearances up to a front man. Igalo's probably the most effective in the United squad of doing it, but it's certainly still massively important in today's game.
Beautiful. Let's hit the next comment. CK Lim to Luke. After you retired, have you thought of being a coaching staff at United?
Not really, because of where I'm based. I live in Cambridge, sort of, which is a long way away from Manchester. It's not something I've ever really considered, really.
Oh, beautiful. All right, let's hit the next one. Eric Hamza is a Chelsea fan. Luke, where do you think United will finish this season? Oh, that's a beautiful way to end it.
That is a tough one. I'm a positive guy, so I'm going to go with second place.
Ooh.
I do think it is so open this season. I think, despite what happened yesterday with Liverpool, I still fancy them to win the league with what they've got in the building. But I'd like to think everything else, City are conceding goals. I'd like to think United can go one better and keep that improvement going. Third last season, second this season.
And after looking at the Champions League draw, where do you think they'll end up?
It's a tough draw. It is a tough draw, of course, but you've got to play good teams to get there. I think you get through that tough first round of matches, you get through that draw, and then the Champions League's so hard to call because you're getting that two-legged game and it's all on 2 games, which makes it a little bit of a lottery. I think quarterfinals would be acceptable this season. Semi-finals, I think, would be seen as a success for Manchester United.
Okay, all right.
That would be beautiful. Kel, Mark, I think we had a wonderful time with Luke. Luke, thank you so much for coming on board.
Yeah, guys.
I mean, it's such a great honor to have a character like you in this show. Luke, thank you. It's never enough. Luke, just one last question before we end this. I think all the former United stars have said what they did. What did you do, Luke, when Liverpool won the league? Or when you heard Liverpool won the league, what did you do?
I don't want to talk. I think I went straight to bed. It's a bad day. But they did, saying that, they did deserve it. They were fantastic last season. Incredible.
Yeah, Luke.
Awesome.
All right,
awesome.
fellas.
And Luke, sorry, where can your fans who want to catch up with what you're doing and like everything that you're up to, where can they find you?
It's all on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. To be honest with you, I've no idea how it all works. So I assume if you just type my name in, hopefully I'll pop up somewhere.
Fantastic.
I think we can get Mark. If you really want to get in touch with Luke, I think go on to Twitter. Luke is very much active in Twitter. I know that's where he has all his stories there, the goals he scored, all kinds of videos. Once again, for all those watching, Snapshot Nation never fails to bring people in and to make a difference in. I mean, this is where football unites. Luke, once again, a huge honor. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really hope United will make it through. And I really hope we do get a second place. But Luke, if we ever, at the end of the season, get a second place, I think we're getting you on board this show right again at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'll come back on. If we finish second, I'll be back. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you, Luke. Thank you for your time. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for getting in touch, Mark.
Yeah, Mark. Guys, for all those watching, thank you so much. And like I always say, the KAL and Joe never fails. It's a wrap, fellas. Kel.
Thank you, everybody. Do like, share, subscribe. Prizes up for grabs over here. You can see.
Yep.
Right, giveaways that we have. Thank you for the breaks of all time. These guys are added card collectors, so do reach out on Facebook at Breaks of All Time. They're really good with card collectibles from any of your Premier League teams. You want to have a few match one jersey. Luke Chadwick over here. All this information. Reach out to them, or we can come to us and we'll send you their way.
Yep.
With that,
thank you so
good
much
night.
for watching once again.
Yeah.
Good night. And this is it from KAL and Joe
And Joe.
and Mark and Luke Chadwick. Thank you, fellas. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Thank you.